Rayo Afolabi Brown is always have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longa in the building. How you doing?
Welcome back,
Mariah.
Mariah.
It's been just a week. It's been just a week.
Mariah in the building.
Yo. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, been good. Missed you. Good to have you back. But let me see, what was my weekend like? So on Friday, I really wanted to go for our TVC Women's Network. But after here, I had to go for my daughter's inter-house sports. But we were there. Then I had a meeting. I just wish, I was trying to get ready, and I said to myself, why? I mean, it's okay to take a break, to take a rest. You don't have to do everything. So I just decided not to go for that. But it was a good weekend because I also used the opportunity to rest and watch Adolescence. Have you seen that movie?
No, I have not, but I heard about it.
Yes, I think it's important to watch it. I watched it with my son, actually. And it's just about teenagers, boys, and how they are growing up and all the different influences that they are having, all the things they are listening to, and in their young minds, how they are interpreting it, and the mistakes that some of them will make, and it's just also charging us to be there with these children and talk to our children and understand and know them better. So good. And then there was this other movie that came out. This is Nigerian one. I think it's Baby Farm. I thought it was well done. I mean, I had some criticism.
Netflix, everything?
But it was well done.
Fantastic. Alaja, Nima Akashat, how you doing?
I'm fine. I'm excited. Super grateful to God. So my younger brother, Umar Ligali, all the way in Dublin, had a baby girl. So I'm just reading my messages. Umar and to the Ligali family, congratulations. I'm so happy. Ireye, Akari, all of us understand. But today is Zip's birthday.
It's Uncle Theo's birthday.
Yesterday was our sugar daddy, Uncle Theo. I called him our sugar daddy on the phone. I was like, Nim, warn yourself. I said, well, happy birthday, sir, and happy birthday to the love of my life. Thank you so much for all that you do for the kids and myself and our extended families. May Allah continue to bless you. Fantastic. Particularly package Ramadan blessings for you.
Nice.
Nice. That's so sweet.
How you doing, my love?
I'm doing well.
This your skin is popping now.
Yes, so it is. We thank God. So I had a very cool weekend. I was also supposed to be at the TVC network. But I couldn't make it. I had shifted my waist when I was gymming. So all the while I was on the show, I was.
Are you sure it was Jim?
It's Jim. Please, I'm born again. All the while I was on the show, I was in serious pain. So by the time I finished the show, I even sat with Bumi for a bit, waiting, thinking the pain would subside, but it didn't. So I had to quickly send a message to the organizers that I'm sorry because I was supposed to take a session there as well. That I was sorry. So I was home all weekend, just resting, Netflixing, chilling, eating and resting. I would find time to go to the doctors this week because this week is full for me. Thursday is my birthday and Friday is my 5-year anniversary at the store. So I don't know how I'm going to squeeze in doctor appointments. But maybe I can see how I can manage myself the next week. But I'm good.
That's
How was your trip?
It was lovely. I'm great. I mean, I think I'm happy I went because I had a few people around me saying that you went to Austria. Why are you going again this year? I said, well, there's value. And I really think that this year's theme was about chasing our dreams. It was a really booster for a lot of women. I mean, 610 women were there, all from all different parts of the world came. And I think we got a lot of value. Faladela was fantastic. Pastor Samademi was amazing. And we had some really great speakers. And I think it really, really pushed us to the next level. So I'm so glad to Mrs. Ibukwa Oshika for organizing and putting together such a fantastic conference. And I hope that more women will be able to come next year.
Please, more women will be able to come next year. We are other women here.
Yes, now.
Because if all of us go, who will stay here? Who
the show? Papa will stay. We start rotating ourselves.
We have to rotate it.
Papa no go support.
Papa no go answer us. Papa is always there with our friends. They always play. We have this
show. So we can close the show.
Exactly. And we get there.
That's a good idea. We'll just go and
your view from wherever they are.
Yes, it's a good idea. Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, look at the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Rivers emergency declaration. Okpabelo faults Jonathan. Indian woman held at airport with 72 parcels of heroin in chocolate wraps. Pope back at Vatican. Congratulations to the Catholic community. Israel's protest Gaza bombing. Adeleke threatens to depose Obas of warring Ilubu Ifon communities. Oshomole Oke's highway tolling at kickoff of the 125 kilometers Benin-Asaba Road. Sale of crude in Naira extension likely as committee meets. Inspector General warns policemen against unlawful detention. And Natasha's conduct vindicates Yahaya Bello, says Kogi Senator. Which story are we starting with?
Okay, can we start with the actual story? So the governor of the Osun State, Governor Adeleke, has told these two Obas, there's the Oba of Ilobu and the Oba of Ifon, that both of you better tell your communities to stop this. The Olufo of Ifon and the Olubo of Ilobu. And both of these communities have been warring. They've been having issues, constantly fighting and clashes. And they said over 100,000 people injured, gunshots every time. And so the governor summoned the two of them and me at the governor's side, because I even like the way it was captioned. According to the governor's spokesperson, he has threatened both of them that if peace does not succeed after he has declared put a curfew in that area, he is going to give them a dethronement letter. And I believe that these traditional rulers know why there are any clashes in any community at all. They are backing most of it, so I'm supporting him.
Okay, let me take the major headlines. So Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo lashed out at the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, for criticizing the presidential action on declaring a state of emergency rule in Rivers State. According to him, he said that that he described the emergency in Rivers State as an abuse of power. That's according to Jonathan, had described it as an abuse of power. So he went ahead to say that he described the ex-president Jonathan as not being decisive when he was present, because he was referring to how the decision he took during the Chibok situation. Said that the president currently is being very proactive, and he said the declaration of the emergency saved Nigeria's economy. The government further went ahead to criticize the president for not taking a similar step when he heard that they were going to kidnap the Chibok girls back in 2014. He said what President Tinubu did in Rivers State is welcome development and to ensure peace in the Niger Delta. Quite a number of other people have also praised the president. The minister of the National Orientation Minister said that it was painful but responsible. Also, the presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga also said the Rivers State without the emergency declaration would have been something worse off and better imagined. So a lot of people have celebrated the president. Others have strongly condemned and criticized the president, of which we will discuss later on during our hot topic. But let's take another story in the nation.
Yes, I do have NDLEA, and they have arrested a 42-year-old Indian lady, Mrs. Nitu. She was arrested at the Malam Aminu Kano International Airport in Kano with 72 parcels of heroin in wafer wraps packaged as chocolates. They said the consignment weighed a total of 11 kilograms, and she was on an inward clearance of Qatar Airways flight from Bangkok, Thailand via Vietnam and Doha. Anyway, NDLEA is saying that they have noticed a pattern now of this drug mules, mostly white women or women of foreign nationalities.
So it's easier to
and
get
I
by.
think, yes, and the thing we have culturally where white people, light-skinned
privilege
foreigners seem to be treated a bit better.
Different.
So maybe they expect that they will not be searched properly. But NDLEA has Ganusi. You got that, right?
Ganusi.
So she's been arrested. I know that I noticed, some Chinese ladies too, in one of their reports. And of course, other arrests have been made across the country, in the north, in the southwest. It's different people. There was a particular incident where he had put over 50,000 pills of tramadol in a gas cylinder. They had welded it off, put the pills in there, and NDLA caught them. So just so many.
We should
Well
get
done.
the best agency in Nigeria. We should honestly
Honestly,
celebrate. They should have the Your View
they did
award.
so well.
We should have a special Your View award for NDLA. Just
agencies
for
that
a
are doing
recognition
well.
the recognition for. I think we should really think about it because we
well.
read really good reports from them.
Yes, we do. Yes, so I have the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Igbetokun. Yesterday, he gave a directive to officers of the force, and he said that they have to start respecting people's fundamental human rights in handling of, pre-trial detentions. So he stressed that the strict adherence to legally stipulated detention periods is not just a legal requirement, but a fundamental responsibility in safeguarding the dignity and rights of individuals. He went ahead to cite sections 34 and 35 of the Constitution, which guarantee the right to dignity and personal liberty. So in a statement by the Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, he cautioned against unlawful and prolonged detentions, warning that such practices could erode public trust and confidence in the police. And he reiterated that any officer found guilty of violating these legal and ethical standards will face serious consequences. So he's calling for a culture of accountability within the force. The police boss is also urging officers to uphold the highest standard of professionalism and integrity in their interactions with the public. I hope that the junior officers will be aware of what is going on, because they are the ones that will usually do the groundwork. Let them be trained properly that this is the new directive going forward, so that we don't have issues like this.
Okay, let's see. Moving on now to the Punch. Naira for crude. Marketers fear price hike as FG suspends sale to Dangote. Petrol crisis eases in Niger after Nigeria's bailout. 2 US-based Nigerians accomplices face 62-year jail for $50 million fraud. South-South governors, National Assembly plan to reconcile Fubara and lawmakers. Atiku Obi camp tackle Bode George. Shekara all over the anti-coalition comments. Okay, which story?
Let me take these 2 US-based Nigerians. So there are actually 6 suspects, but 2 Nigerians are among the other 6. So one Solomon Aluko and Osakari Nobore are members of the 6-man gang. And in 5 years, starting from 2020 to 2025, they carried out using fraudulent and fictitious checks, carried out fraud in the US. So they would pay into a bank account with fake checks, pay it into their account. They had a partner of the gang who was a bank teller who would ensure that the money gets into one central collection account, and from there they would withdraw it in cash to their various individual accounts. And they carried out this entire system for 5 years. And the charge sheet said that the defendants and others worked together to steal money that did not belong to them by passing counterfeit, stolen, and fraudulently obtained checks. And they submitted the checks to banks and then withdrew or transferred the funds before the banks would know that the checks were fraud. And they also had their syndicate well positioned. They had what they call their fraud Bible, where they put in details of how their syndicate members will carry out the fraud. So whatever needs to be done, specific instructions on how each member of the syndicate would operate is in that book. And they had attempted to defraud a total of 80 million, but they succeeded with about $50 million in the period in question. They also had a Telegram group where they openly discussed all of this, and the Department of Justice in the US has said they are looking at 62 years in prison for what they have done.
Okay, let me go on a very short break. When we come up, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regular.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
my 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
You be like person without fortune. At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show. Give for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, #1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for #1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym to get fat.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch.
Yeah, I have a story. So we know that last week, Dangote Refinery announced that it had temporarily stopped the sale of petroleum products in Naira, as the Naira for crude talks between the Dangote Refinery and NNPCL appeared to have failed. They said that the 650,000 barrels per day capacity refinery lamented that there was a mismatch between the sale proceed and its crude oil purchase obligations, which it said was, based in dollars. So they were not able to get crude in Naira, and so they are buying crude in dollars. There's no way they are going to sell petroleum in Naira. So, and they made a statement, said, "Dear valued customers, we wish to inform you that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery has temporarily halted the sale of petroleum products in Naira. This decision is necessary to avoid the mismatch between our sales proceeds and our crude oil purchase obligations, which are currently denominated in dollars." And as a result of that, they said that many petroleum products or filling stations in Nigeria have started stockpiling premium motor spirits. They are storing the products so that they will have enough to sell at a higher rate. Many of them have already started increasing their prices, anticipating that Dangote would also increase its price later on. And so people are calling, stakeholders are talking about this, that says this is so unfair. They need to also consider Nigerians who are purchasing this fuel. And they said that immediately after the announcement, the cost of loading petrol at private depot jumped to 900 naira per litre. It was less than 850 naira per litre before. Now, some stakeholders are saying that they need to be very, very careful. Though they think they are profiteering now, they know how Dangote behaves. He can just come and slash the price of petroleum, and then you that you have stockpiled at a very high price will be selling at a loss. You then lose money. So they need to be very, very careful and just wait to see how the federal government is able to sort out the Naira for crude with him before you start stockpiling to sell with so much gain, making so much money off Nigerians.
Okay. I have the pump price of petrol in neighboring Niger Republic. They said that they've started reducing following the supply of the commodity from Nigeria. So they said multiple residents in the border communities said that have confirmed that hundreds of petroleum tankers have started making their way from Nigeria to Niger Republic. If we recall, papers had taken the story that Niger Republic had turned to Nigeria for help after being hit by a fuel shortage. They said that the West African country reached out. They said sent some people from their country, the military junta. They met with some representatives of the federal government, and they said after that meeting, then trucks started moving from Nigeria to their country. They said when during the shortage, they were selling petrol for 10,000 naira per litre, but now it is dropped to about 5,000 naira per litre in their country. So Nigeria is also saying that this is sort of win, because as you know, there's been tension between the two countries concerning the ECOWAS thing, and so this is more like a diplomatic arrangement. So hopefully, realizing that Nigeria can step in the way that it has with the petroleum products, probably they are able to encourage them to come back to the to ECOWAS, so that this is not a bragging thing. This is really to see how they can help, with the relations, public relations, diplomatic relations going forward.
Okay, moving on now to Vanguard. Another explosion rocks gas facility in Rivers. Oceanic Bank. Our story, says Cecilia Ibru. Anayika cautions political leaders against misuse of power. State of the nation, I don't know when we'll have peace again, says Ame Ebute. Inflation, manufacturers record 90.6% rise in costs. Delta Air's ill treatment of Nigerians unacceptable, says NCAA. And our state is evolving, not smelling, says Lagos State. Who has that story?
No, I didn't take
Nobody
that.
took that story.
Yeah, I didn't. Oh, I took the explosion story. So they said barely a week after a major explosion occurred in Trans-Niger Pipeline in Bodo, Bukana local government area of Rivers State, another explosion has reportedly occurred at Soko Oil facility in Akuku Toru local government of the state. So they raised an alarm on the latest development. That's the Youth and Environmental Advocacy Center, YEAC Nigeria, a grassroots non-governmental organization with a strong presence in the communities across the Niger Delta. They confirmed that they had received information in the early hours of yesterday of an alleged explosion at Soko Oil facility in Akuku Toru local government area, which was operated by the Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas, that's LNG Limited. And they made a statement in Port Harcourt signed by the executive director of Dr. Fineface Dunamine. Fineface, the group, is said they confirmed the explosion through the youth volunteers network in the area. And according to the report, they said an explosion accompanied by fireballs was heard, seen in the sky from the facility area, where it was hard to reach. And the fire is still ongoing as at the time they were making that report. I say it's not immediately known if the explosion was caused by equipment failure, sabotage, or attack on the facility. They said this is the third incident on all facilities in Rivers State in less than a week, with the first occurring in the Ogoni area and the second at the Oga, Egbama, and Ndoni local government area. So they are also citing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu nationwide broadcast, March 18, which declared the state of emergency, and they're saying that this may have been what has led to many of these oil pipeline destruction. And they are saying that though they are going to find the perpetrators of this particular one, they are going to make sure that they, hold them to account. And they had to quote the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA 2021. So they are asking that the suspension of the, governor of the state could be what is causing many people to find a way to damage the pipeline. They said they perceived that some militants are gathering themselves together and they are still planning more pipelines, that the federal government, that's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, needs to reconsider the suspension of the governor of Rivers State, Fubara, and see how they can sort out all of this so that we don't have chaos in Rivers State.
So let me take the Lagos State, the smelling story. So the Lagos State government yesterday dismissed insinuations that the state is smelling, noting that they committed to a comprehensive multi-sectoral approach to ensure clean, resilient, and a livable city. The Commissioner of Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, was saying this while reeling out measures the state is taking to demonstrate it's evolving, not smelling. According to the story, he said that Lagos is not smelling, it's evolving towards a sustainable waste processing, modernized landfill management, cleaner waterways, and structured sanitation systems. The present administration of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu remains steadfast in its commitment to building a cleaner and more sustainable environment in Lagos. So I guess we're referring to the NYSC that actually did say that Lagos was smelling. I kind of jumped on that, said that Lagos was smelling. They came to Lagos and it was all smelling. So it was in response to it.
Okay, so I have the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority criticizing Delta Air for allegedly delaying Nigerian passengers and subjecting them to poor treatment. So they said their passengers were delayed at the Murtala Mohammed Airport in Lagos, causing them to miss a connecting flight in Atlanta, and then having kept them for that long. The flight that they were rescheduled for was they had a 7-hour wait, and waiting. They didn't give them any access to accommodations or even lounge access. They had to sit in uncomfortable chairs, you know, throughout the 7-hour wait. This came to Nigeria's notice because one of the passengers was actually works with Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, and he put his experience on X. Also, the Delta Media Relations Officer was here in Nigeria, was contacted, and she said she'll request details and also respond accordingly. NCAA, of course, is saying, you know, you cannot treat us like this and do better.
Okay, any other story? Moving on now to the Nigerian Tribune, our last paper for today. Hurdles amount as coalition leaders move to unveil the mega party. Fans shut Ibadan Airport for upgrade. KGB allegation. I will honor police invitation, says Senator Karimi. Serap sues Tinubu over unlawful suspension of Fubara and Rivers lawmakers. OBJ laments failure of Onyo Dam to generate power 48 years after. Job losses looms as Papa Port barge operations decline. NDLA intercepts Indian lady with 72 parcels of heroin in chocolate wraps. And Onaikon to political leaders, check your abuse of power. Okay.
So I have a Obasanjo story. So the management and staff of the Ogun-Osun River Basin Development Authority, led by the managing director, Engineer Adedeji Ashiru, visited the former president in commemoration of the World Water Day at the weekend. And according to his special assistant on media, Kehinde Akiyemi, the president is pained that, you know, 48 years after he, as a military head, created the Ogun, the Onyo Dam, that's under the Ogun and Osun River Basin. The dam has still not generated power. He said that dam has the capacity to generate about 80 megawatts, I think. Sorry, 9 megawatts. And that if it had been put to use, a lot of things would have been easy. Farming in the communities around it would also have been easy. Said because of the failure of governments over the years to do anything about it, the dam, to work on that dam project, everybody is now digging boreholes around, thereby worsening the situation and continuous wastage of water. And I'm wondering, it's not President Obasanjo that writes this thing. It's somebody that writes it on his behalf, because it's not possible that he was a Millard in 1977, he created the Onyo Dam, and it did not work, and then he was a president, civilian president in 1999 for 8 years, and then he didn't do this thing that he writes in 2025. You know, being right hand, not somebody writing.
It's ghostwriter.
Somebody.
Any other story in Tribune? I want to take this. I really want to take this mega party history, but I don't have the background story yet. This mega, they want to review mega.
You just got back. You didn't.
I just got back. You know, I don't know what's going on. What's mega? What's mega? What's happening?
Former Governor Kaduna State is vexing, and so he's calling on people.
I saw Fayemi's name. Former Governor Fayemi.
He has been visiting Aregbe, visiting some people. He expect that they are disgruntled with the present APC structure, and you know, so he's trying.
So they want to announce a mega party.
Maybe
to restore power.
But he has decamped to the SDP.
Yeah, I saw that one.
So all that move is what is.
Okay, let us see what they are trying to. Okay, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, we want our hot topic of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
This is. That's why you're still single.
I will not agree or disagree with that, because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the person that used to sus? What is his name?
That woman.
Damn!
Yeah, today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's catch up now.
And so we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay good. Entertainment for pure entertainment. Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Thanks for staying with us. So the debate on the constitutionality of the state of emergency declared by the president in Rivers State is not ending anytime soon, as mixed reactions have continued to trail the president's action despite since full gaining support from the legislature. The National Assembly actually had supported the president. So join us in our Abuja studio to give us his own perspective on the legality of the suspension of democracy in Rivers State is a lawyer and public policy expert, Dr. Charles Omoli. Welcome to the show, sir. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Yes, so in the last 1 week about this issue of suspending democracy in Rivers State, many have come forward to express their views. Some who have come forward is the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, who said that it was a clear abuse of office, clear abuse of power, clear abuse of privileges cutting across the 3 arms of government. Also, the Nobel laureate, Professor Wole Soyinka, also said that the manner in which it was declared totally betrayed true federalism. Finally, also the governor of Ibadan State also said that the democratic tenets must never be traveled with, and the presidency did this illegally, and the right-thinking members of the society must come out to oppose it. Now, these are various perspectives for different people. What are your views on the president's declaration of a state of emergency and sacking the governor and the lawmakers in that state?
Okay, thank you. Well, in terms of the opinions you've expressed, I think it's a natural opinion given what's in the public domain. But people need to realize that in Section 305 of the Constitution, the tests that are there before state of emergency could be declared. Some of them are what I call objective tests. For example, if the nation is at war, so that that's an objective test. But for example, Section 3 subsection E of those lists of tests actually mentioned imminent danger. Now, that means if the president could declare state of emergency based on what is imminent, that means that is not something that has happened. It means that's not something that has was in public domain. As a result, a preemptive step could be taken by the president to avert what is being told will happen. And for somebody who's also be operating the national security space, even at my own little level, the information I have clearly was that if the impeachment process had been allowed to continue and it became successful, the security implication for the Niger Delta was very serious, from what I have seen. But these are things you don't discuss in the public. As a result, I think the problem we have is the lack of trust in government generally. As a result, we don't tend to give our leaders benefit of the doubt. So clearly, I'm certain the president must have made his decision, not just based on what has happened, but what he has been told will happen. And as a result, that falls within the tests. So the test to declare state of emergency is not just about what has happened, but what may happen, given the information at
Dr. Mole,
we don't have that information, therefore,
Dr. Mole,
we can't fully, yes.
I get that. And I think, as a follow-up to that question, towards the comment you just made, when we see democracy played out in other parts of the world, the leader often tells the people exactly what's happening. They have an idea, because people can actually study the political intricacies and say, okay, this is possibly what happened. But I think Nigerians are totally, completely in the dark. They have no clue. So you're saying there's a possibility of imminent danger, which Nigerians and the public knowledge, we have no clue about. So maybe it would have been better serving to the government if we have an inkling of what was considered before such an emergency was carried out.
No, well, actually, you have a point there. That could be a problem of the strategic communication challenge from the government, but also, again, within the security sector, even sometimes giving an inkling to the public could actually reveal sources and could endanger sources, that's giving government, intelligence. So I don't want to go into specifics. There are instances of sources having been killed because government announced certain things that they thought would happen, because the planners know that, for example, if only 3 of you know you are going to do something, bomb somewhere, and then the government announces that we are doing this because of that imminent threat. Clearly, if you are the leader, you know it's one of those 3 people that know about it that revealed it to the government.
Right.
So sometimes announcing things can reveal sources.
Okay.
But the issue here really, my issue is not so much of the declaration of the state of emergency. But I think I'm prepared to give the president the benefit of the doubt. Like I said, even at my own level, I have seen things that frightened me when I read them in terms of what could happen. So, but the second issue now is the issue of the suspension.
Okay, let me come to that in a minute. Let me come to the ladies.
That's a more problematic issue.
Dr. Mole, let me let the ladies throw a few questions in here.
Okay. Yes, okay, that's right.
Yes.
So many Nigerians are of the opinion that the speed with which the state of emergency was declared showed that the president and they're also fingering the minister for the FCT, that's Wike, that they had some special interest in the resources of River State, and that was why we saw that speed of declaration of state of emergency in the state. I would like you to speak to that. Do they have any valid reason to have some of these insinuations?
Well, I mean, people can have insinuation based on their own, bias. But from what I can see here, one could actually say one of the greatest beneficiaries of this state of emergency is actually Governor Fubara himself. Because once impeachment article is released by the House of Assembly, it's on a clock. Within 7 days, this must happen. Within 30 days, this must happen. Within 3 months, this must happen. So that actually is a clock that will have started to run. And there's no way. And the security report, the bit of it I have seen, links the increased instability to that impeachment coming to fruition. So the issue here really is that the only way, really, that impeachment could have been stopped is through what the president did. There was no other way to stop that impeachment. So really one could say that one of the beneficiaries of this actually the governor. The issue really, what I was saying earlier in relation to the suspension of the governor, which I thought was more problematic, yes, there is no constitutional avenue or provision where the president is allowed to suspend the governor or the House of Assembly.
Yeah.
That is true. And I think the only explanation I could give to this, if I'm playing the devil's advocate from both sides, is the fact that it's purely based on doctrine of necessity. Because if you look at it, doctrine of necessity simply says what is otherwise unlawful will become lawful because of necessity. If it's to achieve a greater, prevent a greater harm to society. And we've seen that used globally. We've seen that even we used it to bring Jonathan to become acting president, by the National Assembly. The process National Assembly used is not constitutional. But everybody realized that we had to, in quote, go through extra legal process to save the country. So it's not a novel idea, so to speak. The reason why I said that is because if you look at every time, especially look at the state of emergency declared under Jonathan, they were for security reasons. So the governors were not material to those insecurity. So they were left in place. But if you look at it from Rivers State perspective, the real root, the center of that, or the causation of that insecurity, is a spat between the governor and the House of Assembly. So if this emergency was declared and they were left in place, what that means is that it means the impeachment process will continue during the state of emergency because they will be left with their powers. So the inevitable or the avoidable security challenge that the impeachment will have caused will still have happened, even though we have state of emergency.
Okay. All right.
So looking at those, at those parameters, it's arguable to say the only way to avoid those catastrophe imminently is to actually make sure that impeachment process is stopped.
Okay.
And the only way it could be stopped if both parties were suspended.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results.
My 20 was 320. I suppose don't be one medical.
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. I choose to close the show here for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, number one unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number one on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym to get fat.
Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer,
you're already almost naked.
You're already almost naked. No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make good being with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the better? You scissors. What is his name?
That woman.
Damn!
Yeah, today we'll go here.
Hey.
Let's catch up.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay tuned. TVC Entertainment with Pure Entertainment.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the reactions to the state of emergency declared by the president. Nima was going to throw in.
Okay, as we speak, Serap has taken the president.
Sorry, you still there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, yes.
Okay. Serap has taken the president to court on this, and I'm wondering on my own, this is an initial 6-month suspension where the administrator will take control of the state. Is it possible that the issues that birthed this declaration of emergency, of a state of emergency, can be resolved in a much shorter time?
Oh yes, it is possible. And if you look at the affirmations by both the House of Reps and Senate, they actually inserted that specifically in their approval of the proclamation. That the 6 months is not set in stone. That if solution is found in a month, things can be restored. And this probably is it would be my advice that the protagonists in this affair, which is the governor and the House of Assembly, actually need to use their energy to find solution right now, rather than starting all kinds of court processes again. This case has gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court have made a determination that did not bring peace. So clearly this has defied legal solution. There has to be a political solution. And I think they're coming together, and clearly one of the conditions has to be the impeachment article against the governor will need to be withdrawn by the House of Assembly, because from the reports I have read, that threat of impeachment is directly linked to potential insecurity. And you have to bear in mind here that when this government came, I'm not speaking for the government, but when they came to power, we know that our oil production was just a little over 1,000 barrels per day. And we know out of that, the Buhari administration had front sold about 600,000-700,000 of that till 2030, 2035. And they used that to borrow money. So really, what we had was very small to sell. Now the daily barrel is moving close to 2 million per day. This is not the time to decimate our oil infrastructure for the sake of politics. And I think, no government, I think, will fold their hands and wait. Because on one hand, if the president had waited, allowed the impeachment to go through, and everywhere is bombed all over the place, and now you declare state of emergency, people will support the state of emergency then, but it will be too late. Because what was avoidable would have been allowed to happen. So I think a little bit of trust. Even President Jonathan, I was surprised at his comment, because he has access to the president. He has access to what I call these high-level intelligence reports upon which that decision was made. I'm not sure whether he requested to see that before making his comment. Clearly, if all I'm going with is what is in the public domain, I will also think the president acted too hastily. But at my own level, I have access to a few more information than maybe the Joe public, and clearly the president will have access to a lot more. And from what I have seen, there's no way any leader could fold their hands and allow what I saw could happen in the Niger Delta, allow it to happen when it's clearly avoidable.
All right. Okay, so for me, I would like to discuss, beyond the legality and constitutionality of this. I feel like it's been much discussed. I would like to, talk about the impact, what the effect of this emergency rule will be immediately and in the long term on governance and economic activities in the state. There are videos of, residents of Rivers State who are upset about this, who are even afraid what this may mean for them, mean for their businesses, them going around, So what do you think, what would you say to the people of Rivers State? How would you tell them to take this information? This is beyond politics, beyond legality and constitutionality, just human interest here.
Well, I mean, one of the key criticism I have of this government in terms of this whole saga, really, is the appointment of a uniformed individual as the sole administrator. For me, the optics doesn't look good. There are plenty of qualified non-military people that could be appointed to this role. I mean, in 1962, when Akintola was removed, in those days, it was replaced by Chief Maji Kodumi, another civilian. But since we've had military coups, then it seems anytime there's a state of emergency, they always sort of bring these uniformed people back. I don't think that is, because number one, the optics of it doesn't look good, in my view. So the government should take note of that we don't need to be bringing back uniformed people. This is a democratic civilian administration.
Well, so was a former,
and the
retired,
dominance of
right,
and the subservient of the military to civilian rule needs to be expressed clearly in many ways.
Right.
But in terms of the people, I would say I'm not quite sure they will see much difference in terms of what's going on. The funds to the state have been released, I was told, by the media, reports. So clearly, I think things will go as normal. But I think the key effect here, like I keep saying, is that impeachment that was stopped by the actions of the president is actually going to avoid the inevitable insecurity that was predicted. But the parties need to sit down and fashion a solution here quickly to reduce this length of presidency.
There's a school of thought looking at the political perspective. Some say that, hey, PDP, for example, was a party that was somewhat in the downward spiral, and this is just an opportunity for them to come together, because now they somewhat have a consensus on this, and this is one anchor that they have to say, you know, we're fighting together against this illegality from the presidency. So looking at the political perspective, do you think if you want to play politics, is this an opportunity for PDP to revive itself somewhat, to have one ideology saying that we're going to fight the government on this angle, and hopefully that could bring back the party, the influence of the party back to the limelight?
Well, I mean, the problems we've seen within PDP, I think, goes beyond, just what's happening in one state. The Supreme Court just resolved who their national secretary should be just last week, I think. So, I mean, the issue around opposition, part of the challenge in this democracy is lack of effective opposition. And I think the reason, clearly many people have said it, is lack of ideological politics in the country. That's why you can, people cross carpet all the time, because political parties have become purely vehicles to attain power, not a collection of like-minded people, so to speak. So I think in terms of the party, yes, it might bring some immediate, appearance of unity, but I think the problem of the party, I think, is much deeper than this. So until they solve that fundamental division within the party, I'm not quite sure whether this will help them in terms of bringing a united front. They might even be united towards this particular issue, but I don't see that necessarily as being united towards everything else in terms of the challenge they have within the party.
All right.
Okay, just two quick questions. So the first one is, there are many people who are saying that the president has too much powers and that the constitution needs to be reviewed or amended to make it a true federal system of government that we are operating. That's what, do you think that is the way we should be, looking at going, in a way that we adjust the constitution to just make it more federal, right? That's one. Then secondly, what do you foresee for Rivers State after this 6 months has elapsed? After everything, they lift the state of emergency and then the governor is either recalled back to office. What do you think would be the way forward for Rivers State?
Thank you. Well, in terms of the constitution amendment, I agree there are challenges we have with our current constitution. But if the truth is to be told, part of the problem we have in this country is actually the mindset of many of the people in the National Assembly. In the US, you see things like First Amendment, Second Amendment, Third Amendment, 10th Amendment of the Constitution. Yeah. The Constitution could be amended based on just one particular issue you want to fix. But the problem we have in Nigeria is, if you want to fix this little bit of the Constitution, others will now say, okay, for us to support this little bit you want to change, they will bring their own demand. Okay, we need 10 more states, we need 15 more states. So our constitutional amendment in Nigeria is always modeled. It's never focused, on a particular area, and I think that is the problem we are going to have with anything constitutional amendment in this country. It's not focused on a particular area of the constitution or elements you want to change. People bring all manner of, demand, to support any change, and therefore the small change you want to make in the constitution becomes much larger because of all the things everybody else bring in terms of their demand. Maybe the solution actually is to write a brand new constitution. After all, Kenya did that, just over a couple of decades ago. So we can actually have a completely new constitution written, and I think that might be the way to go rather than tinkering forever with the constitution that the foundation is not solid. In terms of what happens after the 6 months, but by law, the Constitution allows for another 6 months. So a total of 12 months is possible if this is not resolved. In my opinion, for what I can see, whether the 6 months is allowed to stay or even extended will all depend on the peace that both parties can agree to. If they can meet in the interest of the state and meet halfway, and stop all these impeachment proceedings that the House of Assembly wanted to do, and agree on a peace and a good way forward, that can reduce the 6 months. But if they continue this staying in their camps and throwing stones over everybody's head, you could be in for 12 months in River State of solar administration.
Right.
And that, I think, is not good for democracy.
Let me go on a very short break. When we come back, we wrap up on this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Dear customer, we have tried to reach you regarding your loan. If you don't repay now, we inform all your family members that you are a scammer, a thief, and a fraud. We are coming for you. We will deal with you. No hiding place.
Are you being harassed or treated unfairly as a consumer? FCCPC is here for you to ensure your rights are protected. Every consumer is king and deserves fairness.
Visit www.fccpc.gov.ng to know your consumer rights or lodge a complaint where your rights have been violated.
Every consumer is a king and must be treated fairly. FCCPC, promoting choice, ensuring fairness.
Nothing ever happens by chance. Really. Focus on the destination and not the journey, or where you're from.
They will see your game, turn the dark to light.
Never ever settle. Make big moves from your small space.
So, there is a small problem. Despite all the entertaining ads we've created for you, some of you still haven't tried our services. Come on. First of all, we are a licensed microfinance bank. For instance, you can open a business account with us and get our POS with it. It's good for your business.
I love it.
Our card, it the war. You can open a business or personal account with us in minutes.
Download the MoneyPoint app or find an agent near you to get started.
Life is full of stress, but with InDrive, you can set a price for your ride. Choose a top-rated driver and fill your life with gladness and serenity during the ride. InDrive, choose a fair price.
Entertainment to me is a way of life, is a way of escaping, is a way of connecting with people. It's a way of sharing stories and experiencing the very best of the human nature.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're going to be wrapping up on this conversation. Nima had a question. Yeah.
Yes, I'm looking at this and I feel that it's unresolvable where we are going, but it's also very scary that you just said 12 years.
12 months.
12 months. I mean, it can be extended to 12 months. That's how scared I was. It sounded like years, And we want to be in a democratic system, and we have to have a democratic system in Rivers State. Is this, if the worst case scenario happens, is totally unresolvable? Can there, is there any other provisions of the Constitution that resolves this democratically?
What are the other options, right?
What other options are there?
Well, I mean, there are not many other options. I think if after 12 months they are still entrenched in their own position and there is no rapprochement between them, then clearly, in the interest of the state, somebody will have to go. I mean, so is that the governor or the House of Assembly? Somebody has to go. But clearly, from what is said, it will be the governor that would be easier to remove. As a result, but what that would have done is we would have given the government 12 months, if we go that far, to put measures in place to mitigate any potential impact. And number two, there are many supporters of the governor himself who after 12 months would have been, some would have been fed up to say, look, this needs to be resolved. So as a result, the only solution I see if after 12 months is, somebody will have to be removed through legal means, and that really means through impeachment, because removing the 27 members or House of Assembly is more problematic, is more difficult rather, because that means you have to recall each of them, through each of their constituencies. That's a lot more laborious and difficult undertaking. But whereas impeachment of the governor would be, a more of a straightforward thing.
Okay.
If after 12 months.
Right.
I think they need to understand that there's time to have peace in that state, and there's a need for compromise.
Right.
And that I think is what's not happening at the moment.
Okay. Ma'am.
And by the way, the other thing is, the president need to have stern words with the Minister of FCT side of things. They need to, stop this nonsense and allow the state to have some peace.
Exactly.
So again, that means compromise on their side as well.
Okay.
So I'd also like to know what the opposite will be if they're able to resolve on time and everything. Is this something that can be reviewed in, let's say what, in a month? But I'm also curious, just
Oh yes.
Okay, just so that you answer both at the same time.
I mean, if they are able to come to an agreement, the president will be informed. Okay, we've reached an agreement, and it will reverse the proclamation, and the House will again, affirm it, and then the sole administration is vacated.
Okay, but I'm also curious to know, like in the period of the suspension, how does the suspended governor carry himself? Does he still have his security details? What does he do in this time? Where does he stay? Where is he?
He's a regular citizen.
Is this just a regular citizen walking the streets?
It's almost like asking what happened to a suspended senator. I mean,
Governor is different.
Well, I think in this case, yes, he still is a citizen. I mean, you don't need to be a governor to have security detail. I'm sure he will still have security detail. And some things like vehicles and other things I'm sure will still be made available to him. I mean, for example, the House of Assembly members are suspended. They're not vacating their residences. They're still going to be there during the period of suspension. So some of the things they're entitled to will still be there. It's just the executive or legislative powers that they cannot exercise at the moment. So I'm sure the governor will be safe. I mean, we have enough security as he needs. But I think, like I said, the important thing is they need to meet each other. And this is where all those elders, in Rivers and even in the country as a whole, need to bring both parties together with very stern warning. It's almost like locking them up in a room and saying they're not getting out until they agree something, So, I mean, there has to be a drastic step taken to ensure there is agreement between them to shorten this state of emergency and return the state to normality.
Okay. I think I'll let you go at this point. But finally, Do you think the president can survive all this barrage of criticism? Because there's quite a bit of people that are, they're criticizing this move. Not so much of the state of emergency, but the illegality of suspending the governor and the lawmakers. So this is something that the president also has to consider. Do you think he can survive this barrage of criticisms?
I'm sure he can survive it. I mean, having the state of emergency and leaving the governor and the House of Assembly in place is a fruitless exercise.
Right.
Because what you are more or less saying is if that's what he did, then the impeachment process will have continued during state of emergency.
Right.
So you can see the inconsistency in that. So the temperature will continue to rise even though we have state of emergency. So I don't think by necessity he had any choice other than suspend them.
Okay.
So I'm sure maybe what the government could do over time is to see if some of this intelligence report could be,
revealed
one way or the other, some of them made public so that the public can understand the thinking behind it.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Mali. I have to let you go.
Understand that there's a logic to it.
I have to let you go at this point. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate your views this morning. Let's go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue with the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company, not just in Nigeria, but throughout continental Africa, to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jam results. So
my 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one
At this point, I contest my jam results.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1, Unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym though, you're getting fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference?
There's a difference.
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make your relationship better.
No.
Thanks for staying with us. Moving on now to our next topic. So last Wednesday in the House of Representatives, a bill seeking to domesticate the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights in Nigeria passed its second reading. The bill, sponsored by Honorable Akin-Alabi, is aimed at establishing comprehensive labor protections for domestic workers, ensuring fair wages, improved working conditions, and legal recognition of their rights. In his submission on the floor, Honorable Alabi stressed the urgent need to formalize protection for domestic workers who remain among the most vulnerable labor groups in Nigeria. Joining us on the show to give an insight to what the bill seeks to achieve is the Honorable himself, Honorable Akin-Alabi. Welcome to the show, representing Egbeda on our federal constituency in the National Assembly. Welcome to the show, sir.
Of your state.
Good morning. Good morning. Good to have you.
A pleasure.
So, I mean, this bill is something many of us can relate to because we've discussed the issue of domestic workers even on this show several times. But give us an insight into the origin of this bill and why you thought it was important to push this bill.
Fantastic. If you watched my debate on the floor of the House, I looked at it from two angles. I looked at it as a legislative responsibility and also as a moral responsibility. When I say as a legislative responsibility, what I mean is that in the year 2010, Nigeria signed a treaty at the Domestic Workers' Convention at the International Labour Organization in Geneva. We signed an international treaty to guarantee the rights of, it's called Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights. But since then, since we signed that treaty, we've not been able to make it a law locally. And for those that understand how treaties work, those that understand international relations, Nigeria is what we call a dualist state, which means that if we sign a treaty, we still have to create a law locally before it can be enforceable.
Okay.
Right? So the opposite is the monist states, where once you sign the treaty, it's enforceable locally. But Section 12 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 999 as amended, states categorically the National Assembly must create a law. So what usually happens is that the executive will go to conventions, will go to meetings and sign treaties, they dies. In fact, I can tell you categorically that we've got about 5,000 treaties that we've signed, but we've not made law in Nigeria.
Wow.
And that's a problem, and we have to look at the Treaties Act to amend it. Maybe we have to say once you sign a treaty, you have to bring it to National Assembly within 30 days or 60 days, or it's null and void and so on. Why sign a treaty when we know that we have no plans to enforce it locally? So I was looking at treaty. I was actually writing a thesis in a school about treaties, and I started investigating the treaties that have not been signed. Then I remember the Ninth Assembly, 2019 to 2023, the House Committee on Treaties, Honorable Nicholas Osai, and I researched the works he did about treaties, thousands of treaties that have not been domesticated. So I now saw this one about domestic workers. I said, wow, I've always been thinking about this. Like you said, a lot of people have been thinking about it. You say you've talked about it on this show as well. So I said, this is fantastic. Then since we have a treaty, so there's a legal basis we can build on. I'm not starting this from scratch. Some people have talked about it. Some people have signed this treaty. And of course, the moral angle. Look, what a lot of domestic workers are going through in homes across the country. It's terrible. It's modern day slavery. We hear stories. We see trending videos of people who have beat up young maids and all that, use blade to we've killed them, right? We've heard stories like that. So there has to be a lot to protect domestic workers, maids, cooks.
So what does your
nanny,
bill propose? What is it proposing?
Well, it's a comprehensive bill, and I'll rather at the public hearing, the date has not been announced yet. When we're going, because the bill just killed second reading, it's been forwarded to the Committee on Labour, who will now take over and organize the public hearing. Then every single detail of the bill is got to be debated upon. I don't want to come and say this is what we should do, because it will look like we've already taken the position. I want all Nigerians to come. Okay. I believe personally there should be minimum wage that they should earn. There should be like the number of hours they can work. And you cannot physically harm them and stuff like those are my personal beliefs. But I don't want to preempt what the others will want to contribute to.
I really like that, in our lifetime, we're seeing a bill that, upgrades what we know as domestic workers from our generation. They were not a part of the labor laws in any way. So I must commend you for that. But I would really like to know if there's a gap where somebody can escape from this bill. This is where I'm coming from. So a diplomat was of Southeastern African origin, was arrested sometime in the UK, and the video surfaced of her saying, I only helped the girl because British laws on domestic workers is well defined. But he clearly caught her here, the laws, and she was saying, I helped the girl. And I was saying, in Nigeria, she'll get away with it because we help a lot of people.
That's what
so is there a clear definition that captures what it is, whether or not both of us has defined it to be something else? If I were your employer now, that's a dream control. I was your employer of Honorable. And
you are my employer now.
Yes, you are.
Technically. You are. And then I come and say, no, I only helped him. He's my brother's sister's son, my cousin's sister Peking. And I brought him to the UK, and now reach here, now he's such an ungrateful person. Can the courts leave our relationship and define that you're my worker and that you have those rights?
And also just
based on the books.
Yeah, just for context, so that it's more relatable. Because once you say go abroad, even within our country, that you bring someone from the village or wherever and the person comes to stay with you, is there should there be a separation between relationship and a worker, domestic worker?
Firstly, I'm not trying to make a law for Nigerians. Like, I'm not a military man to say this is the law. What I'm doing is creating a platform for all of us to decide what's going to be in that bill. It's not about me. Okay, I set the ball rolling, but it's for all of us to come together to decide what we want. I think we're going to face a lot of resistance at a point. On the surface, a lot of people are excited about the bill.
Until
domestic workers, we protect them, everybody, until
you realize that boy in your house.
They now think about what they're doing in their own home.
Exactly.
After all, they were poor in their family. I brought him from the village. He now wants to form rights.
You're talking from the beneficiary's point of view. Imagine the parents of a domestic a child whose parents are subscribed to him. Now, it's my sister.
Take him away.
This is how there's a system where this works. So that's what I'm saying. That on the surface, a lot of people are saying this is exciting, but we are going to face a lot of pushback at the point, and that's why I will be needing everyone's support one way or the other to find the right balance on how we can craft these laws. But what I propose, sort of minimum wage, minimum working conditions, minimum standards of working conditions, hours to work, and protection against physical harms. Those are my own contributions. We will need contributions from more people and more stakeholders at the public hearing.
Yeah, so I'm just foreseeing the difficulty the bill will face, because
I don't doubt
we have a system like she rightly said, where it's now family. You are in Lagos, please carry my son or carry my daughter. And when those kids come, you don't pay them. The least you do is, or the most you do is to put them in school, which they will work from morning till night, or even when they come back from school, they are not resting while your kids are resting. We know how these things play out. And I know that there will be, a sort of pushback. But is there any way that we can start having the conversation that for you to get a domestic worker, you must go through an agency? And then the agencies are equipped. So even if you, as a family member now, you want to send your son, you register your son with the agency that now takes your son to your sisters, so that...
Government agency?
No, it could be individuals. We have individuals that handle domestic...
So they should be licensed.
They should be licensed.
Licensed and regulated.
Yes. So that even if nobody has an excuse of, I just sent my child to Nima's house because I'm related to Nima. I registered my child. I want my child to work for Nima, right? I have a choice to pick the person, but I registered my child with so and so person because they are in charge now of making sure that everything that's accrued to him will get to the child. Is that something that would make it easier for us to...
It's not a bad idea, but it's going to make the bill harder to pass.
Yes. Okay.
In the sense that you now have to establish the regulatory framework for these agents and make sure it works well before you can now create a bill to say they should pass through that.
Okay, I have to go on a very short break because I want to ask about when this public hearing is going to be, because Nigerians are definitely interested in this. But let me go on a short break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the person that used to us? What is his name?
That woman.
Bam! Bam!
Today we'll go here.
Hey!
Let's catch up now.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay good. Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
TVC Communications, Nigeria's leading independent broadcast company, has been officially designated as a great place to work. Over the past 3 years, we have transformed our workplace into one which is respectful, caring, rewarding, and provides great benefits to all our 500 employees. We thank our team for giving us the chance to show that partnership between employer and employee really works. TVC Communications, officially designated as a great place to work, and now the only broadcasting and media company not just in Nigeria but throughout continental Africa to be fully certified. TVC Communications, a great Nigerian company, a great Nigerian place to work.
Thanks for staying with us. So, we still have our guest, Honorable Akinlabi, here. I know that you said that you're hoping that Nigerians can come together to participate. You're planning some of the public hearing. Yeah. Is it going to be nationwide, or is it going to be only your constituency? How do you plan to go about the public hearing?
Well, here's how the legislative process works. After the bill is passed and read the second time, it's referred to the relevant committee, and in this case, Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights goes to the Committee on Labour. So once it's referred to the Committee on Labour, that's within 1 week. By now, it should have been referred to the Committee on Labour. The Chairman, House Committee on Labour, will now take it up and set a date for a public hearing.
Okay.
Advertise, send to press, to NGOs, to all stakeholders to come for the public hearing at the National Assembly. But I know that National Assembly is going to go on recess for Salah very soon, and Easter is also coming up. So I'm not hopeful for April. I'm hopeful for May for that to happen. But I'm going to physically push the Chairman House Committee on Labour to hurry up the process. He's got to write an application to the Finance Department for funding of the public hearing, because this is going to cost money. The same money you have to do newspaper publication, full page or half page, in major newspapers are all over the country, and physical logistics as well. So I'm going to push the Chairman House Committee to let's ensure that this is done by May. And once this goes through, the recommendation is set to the House for the third reading, and we'll call the Committee of the Whole, where we all sit and look at the bill clause by clause and argue it out and say, no, why should it be 50K minimum? It should be national minimum wage, and we argue and argue and argue and argue. And once that is passed, it's transmitted to the Senate for concurrence. If a bill originates from the Senate, it also must be passed to the House, and the two chambers will come and provide a clean copy sent to the villa for the assent of the president. So we're hoping this will go on as smoothly as possible. Lawmaking process can be tedious, can be time consuming, rightly so, because you're making a law that is binding on 200 million people and generations of one. So all hands must be on deck. Everyone must come from their angles to make sure we have a very, very good law that benefits Nigerians.
So, in your own view, who constitutes a domestic worker? I mean, aside from the guys in the house, can you give us an idea who and who?
It needs to be defined, but personally, like I said, I'm not imposing my will on the country, but personally, anyone hired to do any sort of domestic work for you. You hire someone to be your maid, you hire someone to be your cleaner, you hire someone to be your gardener, your gate man. Anyone you've hired, come and work and be rewarded either by sending you to school or by giving your parents money or by giving you an agent's money, because that happens. You're talking about the agents, although unlicensed ones. So that's my personal definition, but that's something I would like more stakeholders and interested individuals to come and give us their own definition so that we can broaden it in that bill.
This bill, does it capture our form of education where skills are acquired by training? Where if I were a tailor and a child is brought in apprenticeship, they do that a lot in Oyo also, and the child is brought in to live with me to understand my skill. If I'm an iron, if I'm an
apprentice
and all of that.
No, personally,
that apprentice.
No, it's not part of my own interest. That was not my own interest.
So no, I'm saying, does it capture that? Would it clash? Because it's likely to clash with that.
Because if you're an apprentice in my house, you can also wash plates for me.
Of course, you move messy. You know, there's a reason I ask. You know, when you're an apprentice under the tailorship
and you're living with me,
they will not cut cloth a full day, but you'd have washed the whole house.
So so that's where the labor committee.
That's why we need as much definitions as possible to make it as.
I think it's different. Let's not mix it.
But you
because the Igbo apprenticeship system.
There's going to be a lot. There's already an argument about this already.
The apprenticeship system. The one boy, where they live in the house.
Yes.
They do chores before they go to the shop. They eat in the house and everything.
Do chores.
Yeah, so it's different. You can't be in the house though you are learning a trade and you are not able to do some chores. It's like, okay, saying our PAs now. they follow us. They like my PA personally stays in my house. Though she doesn't do chores because I have people that do it, but she carries my bag.
Quick disclaimer.
Yes. No, she doesn't do chores. I have people who are doing that. But if I didn't have, she's not meant to do. But if I didn't have somebody who was doing that for me, she will help me now. I'll be washing place. You sit down. No, I'm just saying.
It's an exchange.
Let
me put what I meant in perspective.
Okay.
So there are 3 things I'm talking about. One, if an apprentice is working with somebody, not even living with them, in our African setting, hairdressing, tailoring. When madam comes in the morning, madam can tell you that go back home. You are not living in a house. You are going back to madam's house as an exchange for what your parents have subscribed. What you subscribe is that you will go home and the clothes are packed down, including underwears. You wash it and dry it. It's part of your training. And they bring under 18 children to come and start. Now, there's the one that BC is talking about, which is Zinwa Boy. They live with Oga.
Yes.
The Oga is totally responsible for feeding and not bringing and training as well. So they must contribute to the home.
Chores,
Now, what they are contributing to the home is the exchange for the skill that the training that Oga is giving them. So small things like cut garden, go and clear gutter, all of those things, it's not equal to what they are even learning. Because at the end of the day, Oga still settles them.
Do you think
more
dignified should be part of the domestic workers' bill of
you know,
rights?
you should get ready for this your public hearing that you are for.
Those ones should not. Some people will argue that it should.
No, let me tell you why my point.
Because
Exactly my point.
That person now can accuse his uncle. And I came to Lagos to come and learn how to trade. But you're asking me to go and do...
You can accuse your uncle just because you can say, I wash, I clean, I'm the one responsible. And once he comes under what is a domestic worker.
So this is what I would say why it should not fall under that bill that you're trying to propose. Is because we already have a recognized system of apprenticeship. What we need is to be regulated and make sure that there's no abuse of that system on ground. I think it works ideally, but we need to just make sure that so that we do not belabor this bill that's going to talk about domestic workers, because we have those domestic workers. We have a lot of people coming from the north because of all sorts of crises, and they come here for almost nothing. They are your gatesmen, they are cleaning your house. So those are the people I feel that this should concentrate on. Does not mean that all those other ones should not should not be regulated or licensed.
I was first to admit that there's going to be a lot of arguments. There's going to be a lot of pushbacks on how this. I'm not kidding myself. On the surface, it looks, everybody we're on the same page, but when
we're not on the same page.
I'm a bit curious about the women. I mean, I hate to make this a sexist or a gender thing, but I would have expected, because if Nima was in the National Assembly, I would expect that this is probably one of the bills she would first to go and study. It's not that Nima will say, she will be the one to be putting it in the. I'm thinking to myself, like, what exactly are our sisters doing there? I mean, for you to go and study the Treaties Act, to even understand, say that about 5,000, 1,000 of them that have been passed. So I'm thinking to myself,
I can't speak for any member. I can't speak for or against any member, but we all have our interests, and we have what constituents have demanded from you, especially when you are campaigning. Like, constituents will say, please bring a university to us. And you might even think, like, we actually don't need a university here or a new university. But because your constituents, that's what they insisted, then you come to the bill, please, and establish a bill to establish university of this in your village, and so on. So there's a lot of factors that goes into deciding on which bill to bring to the floor. But like I said, if I wasn't really studying these treaties,
you wouldn't have seen it.
I wouldn't have. I know that these domestic workers need to be protected, but as a law, for the mere fact that there was a treaty, so there's a kind of legal foundation that I can build upon. So that was what led me to doing this.
So you see that education is not scam?
At all. I'm going for my PhD next.
Honestly.
So now let's go to, now that we've talked about this, let's talk about other, what are legal, what other bills are you working on? Are you, aside from, I know this is on the major one, but...
I'm looking at a few electoral amendments and constitutional amendments. Okay, let me tell you.
Wait, let me pause you for a second, because I'm told I have to go on a break. When I come back, I'd like to hear this properly. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Hello, my name is Sam Etuk, a lawyer with First Attorneys based in Lagos. We are consultants to AIO Prep Academy, and we have been instructed to issue this notice for informational purposes with regards to what AIO Prep Academy offers. AIO Prep Academy accordingly offers an American senior secondary high school diploma, qualifying students to academically qualify to attend both American and Canadian universities seamlessly through their independent study program. AIO Prep Academy is offering parents and individuals.
Do you think you can outplay me in this game of wits and knowledge? Can you go 7 rounds without flinching? I meant answering 7 questions correctly. How well can you hold your liquor? If you're curious, then join us for the most exciting conversation and games with your favorite celebrities on 7 of 7.
Welcome to Pure Entertainment. What would you like to order from our menu today? We have the regulars.
So let me go and look for my jammies. So
My 280 was 320. I suppose don't be one metal.
At this point, I contest my jammies.
I want to close the show.
I can go. I can.
That's all we can take. Ejeki, close the show, you for that long.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 unavailable by Davido featuring Musa Keys.
We also have today's chef special.
Yo, shine, 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 shiny, yeah. Say recap done, and it's time for number 1 on the countdown. One of Nigeria's hottest artists right now, his name is Rema, and this one is called Charm. Kick it.
Another.
For dessert and a bit of nightcap, we have the nighttime and online specials.
I want to start the gym, yeah? But do you know one thing that's actually keeping me back?
You should start the gym to get fat. Cricket.
She says she does pole dancing to empower women.
What's the difference? There's a difference.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. So pole dancer, you're already almost naked. You're already almost naked.
No, it's the empowerment for me.
Sex can make a relationship better.
No. Sex can never be overrated.
It is needed.
Especially when it's good sex too.
Almost every guy has been with somebody's girlfriend.
But they are for all of us now.
That's why you're still single.
I would not agree or disagree with that because I don't want to get into trouble. I have a home to go to.
Your next question.
Oh, you ready to fail?
Who is the better? You see some spoils.
That woman.
Damn!
Yeah,
Today we'll go here.
Hey.
Let's catch up.
I'm sure we've been able to satisfy your cravings, yeah? Stay good. Entertainment with Pure Entertainment.
Now you can catch up with your favorite programs on TVC. Log on to www.youtube.com/TVC Entertainment. Join the fun.
And I can just... Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing, we're going to find out. Mariam had a question.
Yes, I do. I was going to say that I've never been for a public hearing before. What I hear is there was a public hearing.
Yeah.
How does it work? How does someone participate?
Well, it's open to everybody at the National Assembly. Adverts are put out there in the newspapers and all that. But like we were saying before we came back on, I think the world has changed. And not too many people are reading physical newspapers anymore, right? So people don't hear about this public hearing. So we really have to look at opening public hearing to the world more. Maybe it has got to be broadcast online.
Yes.
And there's got to be like, maybe National Assembly should come up with a platform if you have a contribution on how you want sections of the bill, something added or removed from it, you should be able to submit without physically coming to National Assembly. Besides, you can be in bias because you have one thing to say about domestic workers bill.
No,
Don't just enter the plane or come to the National Assembly. It's everybody. There should be a platform, digital platform, where people can contribute and advertise so that people can know about it. Because I won't be surprised now if I hear that there's actually a platform, but no one knows about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, Ade Baptist, one of our fans, is saying the United Nations Women has a policy recommendation on unpaid care, which is part of the domestic workers. I believe this should be included. If the Honorable and the ladies want, is offering that he may be able to set up a meeting with the division that helps in providing a good legislation for the case for free.
That's fantastic. They can reach out to me in my National Assembly office. 004 is my office at National Assembly. It's right there on the ground floor, Speaker's Car Park. 004. I'm easy to access.
So tell us about other bills you're working on. You're telling us.
Yeah, so I've got a lot, but I want to mention two that are actually controversial. I won't say controversial, but divisive, very polarizing when you talk about people's position towards such. One is replacement of members of National Assembly when they either pass or resign.
Okay.
Right? Like in this National Assembly, a few members have died and a few
some have
resigned. Some have become governor, and his deputy too was a member of the House, has resigned as well. Chief of Staff resigned. Minister of Interior was a member of the House, and I don't think there should be another election by INEC to replace it.
Okay.
I think the party that won should just do primaries and send the person over.
I agree.
Why conduct another election? INEC will start looking for money and we're talking about security and all that. Just replace. And there's precedence. It's done in the U.S. Senate. In fact, in U.S. Senate, it's even worse because it's the governor of that state that will appoint. But I don't think we should do that here. I think we should have a primary election
because
the party has already won.
You're even correct. The Electoral Act provides that it is the party that wins elections. And when they have their inner party issues, the party resolves. The individuals against the parties thing that has been
But there's a reason why.
But every time there's an opening, they will leave it open until INEC gets money. Spend
so there are lots of seats in the House now that we don't have members there. So those federal constituencies and senatorial districts have no representation. My good friend, late Akiremi, we'll call him Jagaban, Oyo State, but not. He died how many months ago? There's been any election to replace him. Wow. So the people of Ibadan North are missing out on the things that some statutory stuff that should come to our constituency.
So what are you proposing? Are you saying that this should be like a temporary filling of the seats to the proper election?
The end
because there's a reason why election is done. And people don't need to feel that it is because I elected this person, that's why the person is representing me, not because a group of people sat down together and put that person there.
Not be the person you
voted.
But I elected. Under our electoral act, you voted for the party.
Has gone.
No,
you voted for the party.
Elect another person.
Kogi State when
when Audu died.
Yes, that's when. That's
why Yabelu became the governor because it's the party. He came second.
What's the second bill?
So the second bill is about. I think INEC should be organizing local government elections, not state electoral commission.
That is controversial because
I told you, I gave a disclaimer. I said the two bills I want to talk about are a bit polarizing.
Local government, why
not?
The last time we had proper local government administration across Nigeria was when INEC organized it in 1998. When I was growing up, no one was asking House of Rep members to bring transformer, to bring bowl, to bring rural routes. But now, because they know that state electoral, they have their way of getting there. They have no recourse back to the people. But if INEC organizes it, the chairman can be party A1, and there are 10 wards there. Party A2 wins 3 seats. It's going to be
democracy.
It's going to be robust. But the state electoral commissions that are practically dead. Maybe if 1 or 2 states they are okay, but most states they are dead. So that's with this local government autonomy we're talking about, one way to make it work is to make sure that those that are elected are those that actually people vote for.
Unfortunately, that's all we can take. Thank you very much for having Honorable Akin Alabi representing Egbeda on our federal constituency in Oyo State.
Oyo State.
Thank you for coming. It was a pleasure having you. That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Thank you.